welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of Flame. I'm Robert Phoenix, igniting your day with thoughts and views and news that sometimes you hear about and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you just need a little bit more fleshing out. Last night, the debate, and it was good. I mean, it was about as controlled and contained as one could possibly get in that setting. And I was watching Hillary Clinton a number of times throughout the debate, and on at least three occasions, she gave her famous little signals: the finger across the chin twice, the finger across the nose once. There were at least three hand signals that she was flashing Chris Wallace. I could not make out whether or not Wallace was flipping back to Hillary as quickly as Hillary would like. There were times where she would also look incredibly red, as if her blood pressure was going through the roof. And then towards the end of the debate, she became fairly pale, just in terms of her expression. Trump was pretty even throughout the whole thing. He managed to hit almost every single talking point that one would think that he would address, and namely the video that came out where Bob Creamer and Scott Fovel with Democracy Partners were just completely nailed to the cross. And I wanted to talk about this yesterday when we basically ran out of time. If you haven't seen the Veritas videos, Project Veritas, go watch them. That's probably some of the most important journalism, real journalism that's taken place in the last decade, because the mainstream media, which is on life support, people are waking up in droves. Now, what are we waking up into? Are we waking up into a deeper version of the trance, another level of inception? I had somebody send me an email today or message on Facebook. They said, well, Trump is just acting, that this is just an act, and he has no intention of being president. I've looked at it. I've seen the copy. I've read David Livingstone. I love his work. I think he's a bit wrong on this one, only because I have listened, and I mean really listened. There's a speech that Trump gave about 3 days ago about the power structures and the power brokers and who they are and how they dominate our lives. And if you listen to that speech, maybe I'll play it tomorrow on the 2-hour show. If you listen to that speech, you will hear sincerity and conviction inside of that speech. Now, you can say it's bullshit. You can say he's a straw man, that he's a stalking horse. I watched him last night, and that was not the demeanor of a stalking horse. That was the demeanor of somebody who meant business. And so I have removed my reserve clause, CLAUSE clause on Trump. I think he's in it to win it. I don't think it's a joke. Did the mainstream media promote him and give him plenty of airtime in a way that Ron Paul never got? Of course they did. Do they do this to people that they want to promote? Of course they do. Because if they wanted to freeze him out, they could and they would. Is it about divide and conquer? Boys and girls, every 4 years it's about divide and conquer. Every 4 years. Is this another extreme version of it? Sure. Absolutely. But astrologically, it is part of the cosmic theater, because a large part of this process is an awakening process. It is huge. People are finally starting to get it, cracked into their craniums after all these years, that these so-called fair and independent and balanced news sources are not there to give people the real news, the real scoop. They are not our gateway or portal to transparency. And they probably haven't been in about 60 years, maybe even longer. Okay? So there's a bigger story going on here. Bob Creamer, who was sent packing, I'm stepping back. He didn't say I'm stepping down, by the way. He said, I'm stepping back. Bob Creamer has been to the White House over 300 times. Over 300 times in the past couple of years. Over 300 times, 200 this last year. He spent almost 2/3 of the year hanging out at the White House because he's developing strategy. The strategy that the Democrats are using comes right out of the Chicago gangland style mentality and brutality. If you go back into the lineage of Chicago politics, one of the key figures is Al Capone. Question is why? Al Capone and Saul Alinsky had a relationship. They were, I guess, about as close to friends as possible. Saul Alinsky studied criminology as a young man. Al Capone, obviously, a major criminal. Isn't that lovely? The buzzsaw of the environment comes into our consciousness. That's enough to get me going. Anyway, Saul Alinsky, he studied at the elbow of Al Capone. He even talks about it. So what did he do? He created a manual. He created rules for radicals. Everything that you see that is a manifestation of the agitation that is being brought to bear by the Democratic Party comes right out of the Alinsky playbook. And the Alinsky playbook, the Vince Lombardi of the Alinsky playbook is Al Capone. One Al Capone. Marinate on that for a moment. You're going to get my old man voice now. That goddamn saw woke me up at 8 o'clock in the morning. No people have any decency anymore. Anyway, that is what we're seeing. The tactics are being revealed. It's kind of like getting the playbook from another football team. And it's like, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. And Trump hit on it. You know, he totally hit on it. And again, the mainstream media wants nothing to do with it. This last batch of WikiLeaks, kind of amazing. By the way, Julian Assange is still alive. He is still at the Ecuadorian embassy. The jet that supposedly crossed the Atlantic may or may not have done it, but I just picked up some information that Assange is there. The internet connection is still down. So if you're wondering what's happening there, apparently he's still in the mix. They have other ways of surfacing the emails and the various documents that have been sent to them recently. But one of the most interesting items as part of the last batch of emails is that everybody at the Clinton Foundation had spyware on their phones and on their computers, which is kind of amazing. This is what's come out. And it came out from an email through Chelsea Clinton. And she was complaining about the IT guy named Justin, who apparently is kind of maniacal and puts spyware on everybody's technology. So it's quite easy at this point to see that the Russians are likely not the dark force manipulating the theft of information, whether it's from the Clinton Foundation or the State Department. There are plenty of ways, plenty of people to leak that information. Now, apparently also one of Hillary's brain surgeons committed suicide. That's another piece. I put that up on Facebook, and people were hitting me with Snopes. Can we just please leave Snopes alone? We know who they are. They're part of the Annenberg push. They're connected again to Chicago. That's where they live. They're connected to Bill Ayers, and their job is to act as a truth filter, and they are anything but. Please, let's just disabuse ourselves with Snopes as the arbiter of truth on the internet. Doesn't work. They don't work. 340 visits, Creamer to the White House. Love it. Complicity. Boys and girls, this thing it's becoming unraveled. We are seeing behind the scenes. Now, are we getting to the deepest pit here? Are we going to the deepest layer of who's behind everything? No. In fact, we're probably not even close, but we're getting closer. We're absolutely getting closer. Another one of the WikiLeaks that came out is an email that talks about quid pro quo and how the State Department wanted certain emails changed. They wanted their classification changed. Why would they want that? Well, let's say there was an email that was considered classified and it was on Hillary's server. Wouldn't it behoove them to have that email changed to general or unclassified, so that if there was an issue, that it wouldn't come up, that it would look just like another email? So they were negotiating with the FBI, the State Department, amazing. And then there's the revelation of the shadow government that lives up on the 7th floor. That's what they call them, and they run everything. And they probably run everything through Henry Kissinger. These are amazing times. If you are not catching hold of the process of revelation, and that process is not just an outer process, it's an inner process as well. This is a time of revelation. This is a time of awakening. This is a time of true illumination. Grab hold of it. It is the Uranian lightning bolt that is crashing into our lives on a daily basis. This is 15 Minutes of Flame. For the 20th of October, I'm Robert Phoenix.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift